Hello friends, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Rohini Sudhakar from Department of Continuing and Adult Education and Extension Work of SNDT Women's University. Today's module is written by Dr. Ajit Kumar of Matru Seva Sangh Institute of Social Work, Nagpur. The title of today's module is Introduction to Community Organization and Community Development. This module has been divided into two parts. Part A, Introduction to the Practice of Community Organization, and Part 2, Community Development. First, we will deal with Part A, that is Introduction to the Practice of Community Organization. It's a well-known fact that community organization as a method was mostly used by those working with the communities. The method of working with the communities was essentially used by the professional social workers. But knowledge of how to work with communities is necessary for all those who wish to work in intergroup situations or with the community. Community organization as a method is practiced at the level of communities. The objectives of today's module are that to enable the learners to understand the following aspects of community. Community organization, that's definition, steps, principles, roles, skills, identifying characteristics, analyzing a community problem, outlining a solution and approaches to the community organization practice. Now we will see the definition given by Professor K.D. Gangred in his book titled Community Organization in India, which has cited the given definition by Murray G. Ross. This definition says that community organization is a process by which the community identifies its needs or objectives, gives priority to them, develop the confidence and will to work at them, finds resources, internal and external, to deal with them, and in doing so extends and develops cooperative and collaborative attitudes within the community. There are two aspects of this definition. One, the method of community organization is a process, meaning that it's a continuous. This method will encompass many activities and programs which is time bound. But the final objective of this method is larger than its planned activities and programs, because of which the practice of community organization is viewed as an ever continuous process. What is the final objective of community organization? Here, the second aspect becomes significant. This method must nurture cooperative and collaborative attitudes within the community. This is the non-material goal and is the final goal of the community organization process. The practice of community organization will lead to many activities and programs to meet a specific material goal. It may succeed or fail. This success or failure is only a short-term outcome of the practice of community organization. The long-term success depends upon the degree and extent to which a cooperative spirit has been nurtured in the community. Steps in practicing community organization, we'll see them one after another. Based on the above definition, the following 5 steps in practicing community organization can be outlined. There are 5 steps. Process in which the community identifies its felt needs, then prioritizes these needs, develops the will and confidence to work at fulfilling these needs, finds internal and external resources, and develops cooperative and collaborative attitudes within the community. Problems or needs in the community can be of 2 types. Perceived needs, these may not be the real problem and may be perceived by an outsider who doesn't know the community. Felt needs, these are the actual needs of the community. Principles, Murray G. Ross has identified the following principles to guide us while practicing the method of community organization. We'll see them one after another. One is discontent with the existing conditions must prevail in the community. People in the community must be dissatisfied with one or the other aspect of their life in their community. This discontent is the strongest motive for people to participate in the community organization process. Without this discontent, the process will become weak. Discontent must be widespread. Not only must discontent exist in the community, but it should also be widespread. Only if a large number of people in the community are dissatisfied can we effectively practice community organization. The discontent must be focused and channelized into an organized effort to alleviate this discontent. Unfocused discontent is a block to action. Only when it gets channelized into an organized effort will it lead to a fruitful outcome. The community organization method must involve both formal and informal leaders of the community. Formal leaders refer to persons occupying positions in organizations, while informal leaders are those persons who command influence in the community yet hold no official position in any organization. Often, an informal leader may be able to contribute more to the process of community organization than a formal leader. The community organization method must promote harmonious relationship in the community. Given the diversity and the divides in a community, this method must pay special attention to the nurturing of harmonious relations in the community. The community organization method must nourish informal groups in the community. A community may contain many informal groups pursuing their interest. These groups need to be nourished. Non-discriminatory attitude and skill training can strengthen these groups. These groups and their work can further the goal of community organization practice. The community organization method should develop effective leaders in the community. Effective leaders mean participatory and process-oriented leadership. Identifying and nurturing such a relationship is the task of community organization practice. Now we'll see roles to be performed by the workers of community organization. The word role refers to a set of expected behavior and actions. The following 4 roles must be performed for effective work. Role of a guide. In this role, the worker is expected to stimulate discontent and initiative through discussions and then channelize them into constructive work. Role of an enabler. In this role, the worker is expected to promote cooperative decision making in the community. Third one is role of an expert. In this role, the worker is expected to provide specific, relevant and technical information on community related issues. Role of a therapist. In this role, the worker is expected to help the community understanding their diversities and divides and resolve them. Skills required to community worker. The word skill implies the ability to do a particular action and do it effectively. In community organization, a worker needs to acquire skills related to fact-finding, analyzing, planning, implementation, communication, conducting meetings, handling leaders, establishing rapport, fundraising, and so on. The Columbia University has classified these skills into the following 5 categories. 1. Relationship skills, group management skills, analytical skills, political skills, administrative skills. Identifying characteristics. To practice community organization in a community, we need to study that community properly. An outline to identify the major characteristics of the community is presented below. Postal address, geographical location of the community and its history. Draw a community map with houses, lanes, boundaries and important landmarks such as shops, religious places, medical services, water, communication and transport facilities and sanitary locations and so on. List out the following community facilities such as water, toilet, drainage, garbage disposal, streets, energy, schools, creche, health centers and so on. Also take note of the quality of the facilities available. Describe the community power structure by listing out the formal and informal leaders of the community. Describe their role in the life of the community. Describe the economic aspects of the people of the community with reference to the following: occupation, income, expenditure and assets. Describe the social life of the community with reference to the following: marriage and family, religion, value systems, food practices, festivals and so on. Describe the political affiliations and alliances of the people. Analyzing a community problem. We'll see how to analyze a community problem. The outline presented below helps in analyzing a community problem. Describe the problem, trace its history, how does it affect the people of the community, how are the people groups affected by it, what is the urgency of the problem, and we have to outline a solution. Outlining a solution. The outline presented below in the form of a series of questions, a guideline is solving for community problems. Can the problem be tackled first? How can the community be involved? Who should take the initiative? Why and how? What personnel will be required? What resources are required? What methods and procedures should be used? What is the cost of undertaking this effort? How is this cost to be met? Is the participation of the entire community required or only a section of the community? Answering these questions will enable us to outline a possible solution. Approaches to community organization practice. We'll see these approaches one by one. The following are the two approaches in the practice of community organization. Directive approach. In this approach, the worker and their organization take all decisions and the people of the community are mere beneficiaries. The advantage of this method is that some results can be demonstrated immediately, but it does not build up the capacity of the community to identify and solve their own problems. In certain select situations, such as the case of disaster requiring immediate assistance, this approach is necessary. Second approach is non-directive approach. In this approach, the worker and their organization take very few decisions. The people of the community are encouraged to take decisions. The disadvantage of this method is that results cannot be immediately demonstrated. The advantage is that it does build up the capacity of the community to identify and solve their problems. No practice of community organization can be completely directive or completely non-directive. Both the elements will be found in any such practice. A non-directive approach is more sustainable and strengthens the problem-solving capacities of the community. Now we'll see case studies from the community organization practice. Case study 1. A case study of Anganwadis of Dakshina Kannada Jilla Panchayat. As a case study of Dakshina Kannada Jilla Panchayat has pointed out that all the 1724 Anganwadis of the district have LPG gas connection, utensils and a model kitchen with storeroom. These Anganwadis came to be well equipped because of the high involvement of the Anganwadi Coordination Committee and the locals. The committee networks with GP members, that is Gram Panchayat members, Mahila Mandals and the local NGOs. The local people never say no to any request made by the Anganwadi. They have a sense of ownership and responsibility, transform the Anganwadi as a child-friendly center. They have contributed so that the Anganwadi centers can have beautiful flagpole, compound walls, better quality toilets, etc. The case study is given by Total Sanitation Campaign in Dakshina Kannada Jilla Panchayat, Karnataka, Center for Budget and Policy Studies, Bengaluru, in Best Practices in Panchayat Management and Service Delivery. In the volume 1, Ministry of Panchayat Raj, Government of India has given this case study. Now we will see case study 2. The Berhatti Gram Panchayat, Nilgiri, Tamil Nadu has performed well under the Panchayat Empowerment and Accountability Incentive Scheme. One reason for this good performance is the enabling president-member relationship. As the case study of this Gram Panchayat points out, the president and ward members share cordial and warm relationship which helps in decision making and delivery of services. According to the members of Gram Panchayat as well as the records maintained, these meetings are held on a monthly basis and act as platforms to raise issues, discuss and reach consensus which act as the basis for Gram Panchayat's decision. The case study was given in Social Security Benefits Enhancing Resources and Improving Sanitation in Berhatti Gram Panchayat, Nilgiris, Tamil Nadu. Best Practices in Panchayat Management and Service Delivery, Volume 1, Ministry of Panchayat Raj, Government of India had published this case study. So while concluding, let's sum up. From the above 11 sections, we learned that the definition of community organization stresses on the fact that it's a process which finally must nurture a spirit of cooperation in the community. Based on this definition, 6 steps have been listed for practicing community organization. 7 principles have been stated to guide us the practice of community organization. 4 roles have been listed which a worker is expected to perform in the community organization process, and a variety of skills have been enumerated which a worker needs to acquire. 6 points have been given to study community characteristics. 5 points have been given to analyze a community problem. 8 points have been listed to solve a community problem. The directive and non-directive approaches enables the worker or the learner to gain a perspective as to how the method of community organization can be practiced. There are 2 case studies given by us. It gives us a glimpse of field realities. So now we'll go to the part B, that is Introduction to Community Development. The origin of the idea of community development can be traced back to the end of the Second World War, that is from 1939 to 45, and the end of colonialism, with many poor countries of Asia and Africa becoming free to chart out their path of development. Since these countries were primarily rural and agriculture, the search was for an effective idea aimed at regenerating rural economics and rural communities in the shortest possible time. Objective of this module is to enable the learner to understand the following aspects of community development, that is definition, its objectives, principles, and the community development program in India. First, we will see the definition of community development. The definition of community development is given by Professor K.D. Gangred, who says that community development is a process by which the efforts of the people themselves are united with those of government authorities to improve the economic, social and cultural conditions of the communities, to integrate these communities into the life of the nation and to enable them to contribute fully to national progress. From this definition, 3 points are clear. People play the key role in the community. Self-help and self-reliance is the key to this process. The government steps in by providing technical support and other services. Objectives of community development: to improve agricultural production, to improve housing and village communication, to foster primary education and public health, to promote indigenous handicraft and small scale industries. Now we'll see the principles of community development. The following are the principles of community development. The program should be based on the felt needs of the people. Second, the focus should be on meeting those needs felt by the village community and not needs identified by external agencies. The program should be based on an integrated approach. Problems should not be seen in isolation from each other. For example, a health problem is related to adult literacy. So, the community development program must link the two together. No distinction should be made on the basis of caste, gender, creed or class. The Indian village community is a diverse community and severe divides of caste and gender prevails there. Special efforts should be taken for inclusive participation. Educational and democratic methods should be used to change the attitudes of the people. This program must not be imposed on people. The program should be based on the culture and tradition of the people. This program must take into account local cultural modes and traditions. Now we'll see community development in India. The Community Development Program was launched in India on 2nd October 1952 and was an independent India's first program of rural development. It was launched in units of blocks, each comprising 100 villages with a population ranging from 60,000 to 70,000 people. Each block would undergo 3 phases of development. The first phase of 1 year duration would be to focus on the agriculture. In the next phase of 5 years, development in other areas will be taken up. In the third and concluding phase, again of 5 years, all these programs would be completed. In short, in 11 years, these blocks should become a permanent unit of planning and development and an established channel for development expenditure. Evaluating the Indian Community Development Program, within a short while, the Program Evaluation Cell of the Planning Commission reported that this program was not meeting its goals. It was depending too much on governmental initiative with poor participation by the people, while the benefits were being cornered by the rural gentry. This led to a more detailed study by the Balwant Mehta Committee in 1956-57, and they came to the conclusion that the program had failed because of the lack of decentralization of power at the district, block and village level. The Mehta Committee recommended a 3-tier Panchayat Raj system to decentralize power at the 3 levels. This recommendation led to the ushering in of the Panchayat Raj system in India. Rajasthan was the first state to inaugurate a Panchayat Raj system in 1959. Mahatma Gandhi, Rabindranath Tagore and community development before independence, much efforts in evaluating an effective approach to developing villages in India had been undertaken. Among them, Gandhiji and Tagore have been pioneers. From 1920 onwards, Gandhi put forward the idea of Sarvodaya, meaning welfare for all. And within this framework, he evolved a constructive work program, which initially began with communal unity, removal of untouchability, and the promotion of khadi and village industries. Subsequently, it grew into an 18-point program. A key element of this program was that the workers had to live in the village as the villagers lived. To practice what he preached, Gandhiji in 1936 shifted to Sevagram village, an hour's drive from Nagpur, and lived and worked there for 10 years till 1946. For Gandhiji, Indian villages suffered from want of corporate sanitation, deficient diet, inertia, and the practice of untouchability. Tagore established an institute of rural construction at Shantiniketan in 1922 as a part of his university at Shantiniketan. Work began in 3 villages, and by 1953 it had extended to 65 villages. The project was divided into 3 zones with a headquarters at Shantiniketan. The headquarters had all the demonstration projects aimed at influencing the surrounding villages, and the activities focused on research, extension, and education. This institute was highly organized with a clear structure, program, and a method of work, and it came to influence the community development program in India. Community organization and community development. Professor Gangad says that community development is a planned effort for inducing desirable changes. He has pointed to the following similarities and dissimilarities between the two. Similarities of community organization, community development are that the philosophical base between the two is the same in the sense that both aim at enabling people live a fully developed life. Both give emphasis to self-help and self-determination as guiding values. Both work as agents of social change. The difference between community organization and community development is that community organization is practiced more as a voluntary effort, while community development is a government initiated program. Community organization is an outcome of an urbanized and industrial society. Community organization tends to be process oriented, while community development is target oriented. So while concluding, let's sum up. Community development is an approach to rural development where the efforts of the people are united with that of the government in developing the village community. In this community development approach, development programs are undertaken in the areas of livelihood generation, education, health, and village infrastructure. 5 principles have been enunciated as guidelines. The 1952 Community Development Program was the first program of rural development launched by the Government of India after independence from colonial rule. This program failed in meeting its goals, but it led to the ushering in of the Panchayat Raj system in India. Mahatma Gandhi and Rabindranath Tagore have done pioneering work in rural reconstruction. Thank you.